YouTube, what's up? We are here with another deck profile with none other than
Kobe Short, representative of Pandemonium Gaming, and I'm plug this now since Josh can't hold me back. Me and Dominic Couch just started a YouTube channel. We're putting up our first video tonight. It's called The Millennium Rings. If you have to go over there, show us some support, that'd be pretty cool. Sorry if I'm not very enthusiastic. I'm a little tired, but be what it be.
Makes sense. It's all good. Right. So, what's the deck today, man?
So I played. We called it Steady Tier, but this is just the pure TEARLAMENT deck. Myself, Dom, and Mount Fuji all worked on this together for like the last week, in between testing for Minneapolis, because we didn't really want to put much effort into this format.
I feel that.
Because this is like a fake format. But yeah, this deck was really good. I actually think I had the best deck in the room. I think 4 people played something really similar to my list. They changed like 1 or 2 cards, but I think like the cards that they changed weren't really like correct in a sense. I feel like they changed important things, otherwise they would have done better. And mostly in the extra deck. I think a couple of people played this exact main deck and they all did really well at the event. But yeah, this is 41 cards. It has a weird 41st card, but we'll get into that. I'll do a more in-depth profile on my own channel, but this one I'll give you all kind of like a quick rundown of how it all worked.
Alright, sounds good. You got enough deck profiles on that channel, ain't you?
Yeah. So standard, your 12 tier names. You can't deviate from this in the normal deck. In the danger deck you can, but you have to see these cards every game, and like you don't really want to put your entire tournament experience on milling 3 random cards from the top of your deck, but if you have to, you want the highest chance of hitting one of the dudes. So this is cool. Good count. I played hand trap cards. Please don't laugh. Okay, so at first we were on 3 Ghost Mourner instead of this card, and instead of one of the other cards that I subbed for the main deck. Okay. But I felt for a regional, Ghost Mourner's not that great because it kind of like limits your interactions to specific, like this is only on board effects and stuff. Mourner as well. Whereas Ash can kind of hit everything, but this card's like not very good against like this deck in particular. Like it is really low impact against tier, but it's high impact against like the rogue decks. So I wanted this somewhere in my deck. Also, there is some math behind it. So when you want to open like 2 of a specific group of cards, when you play somewhere between 40 and 44 cards, the number that you want to get to is at 13. The math doesn't change too much, maybe by like 1%. If you play like 41 cards for 40 cards, whatever. So this was like the last hand trap that I wanted to play. You could do 2 Ash, 2 Valor, but I never wanted to be in a position to draw 2 Ashes, where like if you draw 2 Valors, you can play them both. And the reason that this is like this is because this card's just the highest impact card in the game right now. If you resolve this card, the game just ends, and the combo tier deck can't really play around this very well. This deck, it's physically impossible to get nibbed. I don't think I summoned over 4 times in the tournament. Yeah, it was cool. So that's 13 hand traps, 12 names, and then
solid.
These cards, these are all just extra names. There's an argument to play the Crystal Beast cards, there's an argument to play Set Rotation, but those cards aren't very great. If you play Set Rotation, you probably play Mystic Mind, and you can just pop the Mystic Mind with this. But if this doesn't resolve and then you get Mystic Mind, it kind of just delays the game for a little longer than you kind of want. This card was cool. You side this out a lot. Against the combo deck, you side out all of these because they Eradicator you. You don't really need this against the combo deck, you just want more hand traps, because if you stop them a couple times and then summon a tier monster, it's really hard for them to win. But in the actual mirror for this deck, this is the most important card. The first person to get to this card is just so far ahead. It's actually just the best card in the deck. Play 3 Cosmic. This card's just really good against this deck. It's good against Sprite because it hits Smashers. It's good against every rogue deck ever. It's good against trap cards. Alice Mystic Mine like banishes it. It's good against Runic. This card's really good. This is what took the slot of the Ghost Mourners, and then I went to 41 cards to play the Ash because I wanted 13 hand traps. But yeah, I'm really glad I played this card. This was going to be in the side deck, and I was like, I kind of want this in the main. This is definitely the best inclusion in the deck. 2 Desires because this is a control deck. You just want to draw cards. The more cards you have, the better. God card, ban it. One of each trap card. Most people play 2 of this, but this deck is like, this deck kind of plays like Satellar Knights, where you kind of just like get what you need when you need it, and sometimes you need this card. This card in the grind game, adding back like a Rhino Heart or a Sharon's like really important. This card's good, like in the mirror versus Kaleido Heart, negated forever. And then this card actually just really good. Played against a lot of sprites, so it's just ended a lot of their turns. And then the last card was Dynamiscus. This was cool. It made Toad with this quite a bit. It outed like Mystic Mines. Sometimes like you would go normal this guy and he'd get negated, and then you're like, ah, well, cool, my turn is over. So then you set like this or this card, and then you'll have like, I don't know, a Havness in hand. And this is just like 5 interrupts through their hand trap, and you just couldn't get nibbed while you did it. And this is all interacting on their turn, so all your interrupts are actually trading with cards, and you're establishing your own board. You're generating more advantage. Like, these are all really good cards. This was really good. Sided this out a lot going second, but obviously because it's a trap card. But this card is really above average. Go into the extra deck. 2 Kit, 1 Kaleido. This is pretty standard for the slow deck. You could play through this, but you don't want to clog up your extra deck with this card. If you just play correctly, you never need a third. But sometimes you can get greedy and play a third, but then you get cherries for this card, and you just want to kick yourself, jump off a bridge. Garura, I rarely summon this, but he's cool for like 4,000 damage off of 1 card is like really important for this deck because it's hard to kill. Mud Dragon, kind of wish I played 2 of this because I summoned this card like a lot. And 2 of these, this was basically the second one of these because you just recycle these over and over again. This card was crazy. You make one on your turn sometimes, and then on your opponent's turn you make the second one, and you just can start putting things to level 1. That's like the most important part about this card. Not even negating effects, just things being level 1. Like against Exo Sisters, this card's just an FTK. This deck card was really good. Elf, this is a cherries target, and this card is just really good. Like whenever you have like bad hands that involve like Merly, you have the mill 3 and you miss. And you're playing into a board, you can make Elf for the next turn. Dart, this card's cool. It's good in the mirror, good against kind of everything. He searches for any tier monster in your deck except for Merly and Rhino. This could have been any other card in the game, but we wanted a card that you could do just like an out to cards from your extra deck. This outs anything, whereas like Phoenix only outs back rows, Cerberus outs monsters, this outs anything. Also, if you take your opponent's IP with this, you could make this, which kind of comes up. Toad, I made this card like once. We were playing Bahamut, but I swapped Bahamut for this card. So I wasn't making Bahamut enough, so this, like, I was making this more than Bahamut, so this card was cool. You make this when you're going for a game, like to push 5-6 summons into a nib. Yeah, you have the negate for the nib. This is for when you get shifted. I got shifted once or twice in the tournament, and both times it was kind of easy to play around. Like you start with Sharon, and then they shift at you, whatever, and then you either instant fusion or you normal summon a level 4, and you make this. This skips their turn pretty much. Like against the Sprite deck, this skips their whole fucking turn. Against the tier deck, it's not great, but like it puts them in awkward positions enough to where it matters. Against Rogue, this card's crazy. Yeah, this card was actually MVP of the weekend. Redoer, he's cool. You use his effect more on your turn than your opponent's turn. Like if you get stopped, you just overlay 2 dudes and then use his effect, tag out, and then you use the Sharon effect under it. Dweller, FDK card in the mirror. This card's kind of stupid. And then Zeus. A lot of times in the mirror, whenever they Dweller you, you just Dweller them back, resolve its effect, and then you attack into whatever. Your Dweller is 22, so you kills most things. And then you Zeus their whole board. Now none of their cards trigger, and you're just back in advantage. The side deck, I played my side deck's backwards. It was whatever. 3 Eradicator. This could have been any floodgate that you want. It could be skill drain, whatever. This card was just like a big blowout card that I kind of wanted versus like every deck. In the mirror, this card's just really good. If you open the field spell, you can do this under 4 summons with your normal combo, where you end on these, like any of these monsters and this card. You end on one of these, one of this. And if you have the field spell, you can eradicate this away. If not, you have to make this, and it'll be your 5th summon. But yeah, Eradicator was cool. I'm glad I played this over Skill Drain. I don't really like Skill Drain in this deck, but it's player preference. 3 evenly matched. This card's crazy right now. No one's really putting up Omni Negates, and especially in the mirror, like you just evenly their whole board away, put them down to 1 card. Like I had a really sick play against Exo Sister where like he Mystic Mind me, so I set an evenly and I had 1 in hand, and I made him like kind of started trying to push into my cards, and he was gonna establish a Zeus with his he activated like Carpe Diem and he called Nib. So he had Carpe Diem and Magnifico, and he swung, banished my field spell, banished my set evenly, and killed my kit. So he had Mystic Mind, his Michaelis, and then like 4 set cards, 1 thing, and this hit him for like every card they owned. And he misplayed, he kept the Mystic Mind. He kind of like realized it as soon as he did it. But I was going to win that game anyway, but this card was really cool.
Unfortunate for him.
Yeah, it sucks to be him. Duster, kind of just wanted another Mystic Mind out. This card is also just a blowout card. You have 7 cards for trap cards. Post side with your Cosmics. Really 10. Against traps, you can keep this card on. This card's cool. Beats the whole Sprite deck by itself. It's good enough against tier to warrant putting it in. Because he trades with like Dragon Spell, he trades with the field spell, which is important, and he's bigger than most things.
He is a big boy.
Yeah, he's a big dude. He's a good card. Glad I played him. I didn't know what I wanted my 15th extra deck slot, slide deck slot to be, so it was this.
So when in doubt, pack it tops.
When in doubt, pank it out. Gamma Driver, kind of just wanted this is still the highest impact hand trap in the game. People don't play around this card still, even though it's been relevant in the format, every format for like the last 5 years. This card's clean. I don't think I got to do it very often, where like you gamma on your own turn, but it doesn't really matter. It was still really good. And then 3 cherries. This was by far the best card in the side deck. In the mirror, post side, I tell them to go first, because I don't really want to side this going first, and this is my only card, and they're siding more cards versus this deck going second, because it's the most represented deck, like the tier strategy in its own. But this hitting like a kit is just game ending. Or if you can, and you're like, your opponent's kind of like not great, you can hit this, and then now their whole board is just like 7 vanillas. They don't have this card anymore, and this is like the most important thing. If you don't get Dweller in the mirror, you're probably gonna win. But like against Sprite, you hit Elf, the game ends right there, because now they can almost never summon Toad, and they don't have a grind game anymore, and this deck is all grind game. This deck can get you to turn 9, and it still has the same play every turn. But yeah, this card was very, very above average. Probably best card in the side deck. If you could play more, I would. But yeah, that was the deck profile. It was 41, 15, 15. I went X1-1 after Swiss, tied with Blake. I'm sure his deck profile is going to go up as well. And I lost to the winner of the tournament, Trevor. Shout out to him. He played really well versus my no hand traps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And not salty about it, by the way. Trevor's a really good player. But yeah, shout outs to the people that were in my card: Josh, Chuck, Luck&Chuck, and Higgins. Cool car ride, except Chuck, he snores. Dude can fall asleep anywhere. And
can't fall asleep anywhere. It's like a snores.
Obviously, shout out to Dom, shout out to Fuji. They basically came up with this deck. I've been sick for like the last week, so I put almost no time into this. They put in about 5 minutes, so cool. And I'll plug the YouTube channel Millennium Rings. Shout out to Pandemonium Gaming, cool sponsor, probably best sponsor. You should check them out. TCG player and stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, man. Appreciate that, Kobe. Thanks so much.